Good morning and welcome to Morning Vibe. My name is Remmy Majala and thank you for joining us once again. It's Monday and today we have an impeccable personality in the world of sports, music and culture, and she's so big on thought leadership and we're proud of her as Kenyans because she's doing us proud all the way in the US, and she is the in-host arena, right? Arena host. Yes, there you go. You see, it's a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister.
Yes.
And I'm speaking about the one and only Ivy Winfrey. If you guys have interacted with her before, you have known her as DJ Poison Ivy. I mean, this young lady is doing us proud, and we're so happy to have you this morning. Thank you for coming in, Ivy.
So much, absolutely. What a better way to start my week? What a better way to start my weekend with you,
man. You've done a whole lot. And I love the fact that you are literally the first woman, you know, in history, even in the US, who is this in-host arena, you know, and announcer. You're the lady who stands right there in front of all those, is it 20,000 people?
Every day, an average crowd of about 20,000 people.
Look at that. And you just say, hey, this is coming up, this is what they're doing.
I call the shots, man.
She calls the shots. So this is the lady we have in studio right now. And I just want to make sure that that's clear so that we're having this conversation. You get to know more about Ivy. She's in Kenya to do amazing things. And, you know, we want to also understand why she has shifted from DJ Poison Ivy to Ivy Winfrey. She means business. That's basically it. Right, Ivy.
Yes,
I think let's begin from this particular angle.
Yes.
Why did you shift? Why the shift?
I think that, you know, it comes a point in time where as a woman, as an individual, you have to evolve, right? Evolution is inevitable, and growth is your only true constant. And so I've had the opportunity to do really amazing things in my DJ career, and DJ Poison Ivy was a vehicle that afforded me a lot of opportunities, traveling around the world, a lot of history making, record breaking, literally and figuratively. But there got to be a point where I was like, look, there has to be more. And a lot of that, the name switch is really it's an indicator of a switch in mission, a shift in mission. It's a mindset specifically, you know, is that I call it. But it's moving from entertainment to empowerment, and obviously very much inspired by the great Queen Oprah Winfrey, right? And so I thought that, you know, who better to carry the mantle and or continue the legacy as someone who has used her voice literally and figuratively and her platform to champion causes specifically pertaining to women and young girls, but through, you know, an entertainment platform. So it's really an indicator of where I'm headed. And I'm grateful for where I've been, but it's, you know, it's time to move on.
I see. You know, there's so much, like you've mentioned, that you experienced that capsule of time when you were DJ Poison Ivy to now, of course, Ivy Winfrey. And there's a lot of exposure. There's a lot of experiences that you're like, wow. You know, and that changes a person because there's no limit, you know. Your sky is way up there. Like you're in the moon planets, you know, and the like, right?
You're too kind.
Right. So what did that experience mean so that it can inform a shift as big as this? Because this is business. Yeah,
it's business. And I mean, look, I think that the thing that I have most been attuned to is the fact that, you know, I'm a woman doing something that I guess you can say is typically viewed as a male-dominated field, so to speak, right? But I'm also a mother. I am also an intellectual. I'm also a thought leader, right? I'm all of these things. And so I think it's important to be an example. Hence my, you know, you see the two bags, they're all in and out.
We're going to speak about that. She has it right there.
I literally just, I'm in my bags, quite frankly speaking. And I think that it's okay to be able to be many things, multiple things. Duality is a theme that runs very pervasive throughout my life. And it just got to a point where I was like, look, I don't feel like being boxed in. I don't feel like being labeled. I don't feel like being figured out per se. So much has been put on me in terms of like, you have to pick one direction and go with it. And I'm like, says who, you know? So I just want to be an embodiment of being, for other women, an example for whoever really, of living in your fullness.
I see.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, sports is a male-dominated field, but we have amazing women like yourself doing epic things.
Yeah.
So how has that experience been? Like I mentioned earlier in your introduction, first female host, DJ. If anything, you know, what does that inform right now?
I mean, quite honestly speaking, I always say that while I'm grateful for the opportunity to write myself in history books, it's less of an honor and more of a charge. Right? Because in 2020, whenever that was, 1918, and even in 2025, we're still having firsts for women. And I don't know if that's something worth celebrating, right? So and I think that sometimes that sentiment has been misconstrued, but quite frankly speaking, I can't wait to get to a place of complete gender parity, right? So I love the fact that I've been able to use my platform to speak on that. And also the opportunity for women to be in this industry is not limited to athletic prowess. Like I've never kicked a ball and or done anything in any capacity of that level in my life. However, I've made a fairly lucrative career out of being in the sports periphery. So we need more executives. We need more leadership. We need more decision makers. And we need to, especially in Africa, create that pipeline for young women and girls. There a number of statistics that point to women who participate in competitive athletics moving on to be great leaders in whatever capacity. And that's simply because of the transferable skills that are taught through athletics, i.e. resilience, determination, teamwork, yada, 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 that then translate into, you know, other areas of life. So for me, and of course, like I'm a mother to a 12-year-old girl, you know, who is hopefully awake right now. Probably not, but the reality is I have to create the world that I'd love for her to live in. I have to be the change that we seek because, I mean, I have a young woman in my household that depends on it.
You know, now that you're saying that, your two bags, let me say movement for that, you know, and I want you to hold it.
Oh man, I'm gonna say that they go everywhere. Hopefully I'm not gonna move my mic with it, but yeah, they're right here. They're people, they literally go everywhere with me. Like they really are, you know, and there's two wallets in there too. Like
to everything.
To everything, man. Cause I mean, literally it started out as a battle cry, right? Cause I started to, you know, I love fashion, I love swag, I love getting dressed, all of that. But
we can see.
Even that has evolved over the years. But the reality there is that it was more of a statement of having to work twice as hard as anybody else to provide for two different mouths, so hence the two bags. The original colorway is blue and green. Obviously, that's a nod to my home team, the Dallas Mavericks. Even sports intrinsically exist in duality, right? Most home teams have two different, you know, primary colors. Then it became a conversation piece, right? Because I think that as I evolve, I have to think about what I'm leaving behind, but also what I'm taking with me. So I mean, the analogies and are all woven in and through, but I hope that this is a tangible symbol of empowerment for women around the world, and that you don't have to pick, but you do have to pick what you're leaving behind and moving forward. You can exist in all of you. And just hopefully, you know, women identify a lot with handbags and all the things, but besides opulence, what do they really mean?
Exactly. Besides opulence, what does it really mean? I mean, if you're having a Louis V or what, but why do you have it?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
You know, kids are really funny because sometimes, you know, I'm sitting across them like, oh my God, this is Ivy. And sometimes your kids are like, it be your own.
It be your own people, man. It be your own people.
You know, they don't care. No. They're like, you know, but I'm sure she's seen a lot. She's seen you in action.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of you and her in the arena.
Yeah.
How does she take it all in, especially when you're in the middle and you have to announce and do all these things at Dallas Mavericks?
You know, I'm still figuring that out. She's at that age now where we're conversant, and you know, now she'll be like, hey mom, you know, can I help you get dressed? And can you, like, she's as much, I include her as much as I can, or she includes herself as much as she can in decision making. But I think that I really worked hard to just be mom for her. Right. You know, it was a running joke when she was little. She used to call me DJ Mommy. And I used to be like, no, I'm your mom first. But you know, honestly, I've never known a life without her by my side. And I don't think that she has, obviously she hasn't either. So it's hard to tell sometimes where, you know, her reality is much different, but I try to keep her as level-headed as she possibly can be. But I also try to use, I'm not gonna knock the privilege and or the access. And so I try to use that as lessons, you know, for her, and teach her. I'm literally teaching her as much as I can while I'm at work. She's my stagehand. She can mic me up. She knows my cue cards. Like, she knows the drill, right?
That's dope.
So is it a family business? I don't quite know just yet, and I don't necessarily push that on her either. But at the end of the day, I'm just grateful, super grateful for an employer and, you know, a way of life that allows me to mother and work, because I work a ton, you know?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. But you've not just, you having been a DJ and now, of course, in sports and representing culture for that bit. It transcends like from just where you are to all over the world. So music, sports, and culture. What have you seen it's done when you incorporate all that, and now that you're home and there's NBA Africa and the HQ is here, you know, just connect all that for us. Tell us the impact so
I
far.
mean, beyond sport being what we know it to be traditionally, right? I'm of the notion that
I need to just hold on to that thought. We're taking a short break.
Certainly.
We'll be back with this conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Well, if you're just joining us right now, I have in studio a superstar, impeccable personality. She goes by the name of Ivy Winfrey. She is the first female in-host arena for the Dallas Mavericks, and she is on her 9th season, meaning 9 years, man. Like, we can't even keep up.
Time flies by when you're having a great time.
Yes, exactly. And you know, she's still at it, and she's doing a lot right now. If you knew her previously, you knew her as DJ Poison Ivy, and right now she is, let me say, reintroducing herself as Ivy Winfrey. And what I did not tell you earlier on is our question of the day, where we're asking you, what do you believe can be done to create more awareness on the sport of basketball in Kenya? What do you believe can be done to create more awareness on the sport of basketball in Kenya? Well, it was supposed to appear right there on your screen, but we had like a technical hitch right there. But, you know, that's what we're asking you. I'll be reading your responses towards the end of this conversation. But Ivy, you are describing the intersection of sports culture and music, especially it crossing over now into the continent and Kenya. What's your perspective on that?
All those attributes are inseparable. Right, you know, where there's sport, there's culture, and where there's culture, there's movement and progress. Hence why certain sports are at the forefront of it, just because of the integration. So again, I think that it's inevitable that all those facets are woven. I like the fact that now there's an opportunity for, what do they say, a rising tide floats all boats, right? So as sport continues to progress, so will all other assets or facets of the culture. So I am excited, right? As you can see, you know, I was at the helm of introducing African music into the sports space early on. Yeah. And I can confidently say I was the first, right? And then years later, what ended up happening is it culminated into Afrobeats or halftime show at the All-Star game. So I think when you scale that back and you think about locally, what does that mean? It means that at local games and at local sports programming, there needs to be an inclusion of the music scene. There needs to be an inclusion of the fashion scene. There needs to be inclusion of all the other things that are adjacent, right? And the more eyeballs that there are on one thing, means that it also lends itself to its audience share, right? And you know, where the eyeballs go, the sponsorship money flows, right?
For sure, man.
At the end of the day,
it real,
at the end of the day, listen, it's a business. It's strictly financial, and so it has to make sense for all parties involved, which is ultimately why the strategy around that needs to keep that at, you know, somewhere at the center. It's not all about that, because truly, at the end of the day, culture is about pulse. It's about feeling. It's about the people, truly, you know?
I hear you.
So go where the people are.
I know, and I love the fact that, you know, you mentioned fashion, because you make statements in white a lot. You know, like what you're rocking right now. What we've seen you rock in the previous days while you're here in Kenya. You know, while you're, you know, at the arena. What's with that?
I mean, and shout out to my girl Vic. I like, hey girl, she's all in All-Star Weekend right now. But anyway, I think that you use any and every medium to communicate, right? And quite frankly speaking, if I was to really break it down, then ultimately that's also a means and a mode of income. It's advertising, right? But I've chosen to embody that advertisement in such a way that speaks to what I'm doing now and what I'm going through and the like. So right now I'm in my all white phase, and that's just a symbolic way for me to show that I'm like releasing and I'm resetting and I'm throwing in the towel, and I, you know, all the things that white stands for. Obviously, when you walk in a room and you're wearing all white, people really handle you differently.
It's true.
Right? It's a way of also saying like, you can't get next to me. Like, it's me creating boundaries around myself, or the illusion thereof. Because you can still talk to me. Just don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep your distance.
Don't be too familiar.
No. You don't know me like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't know this new version of me like that. But beyond that, like, I went through a whole season last year where I wore upcycled clothing, right? Like, because fashion is the second most pollutant industry in this world.
Yep.
I went through a great physical transformation and weight loss, and so I basically couldn't fit anything that I had before.
Had gym, girl, you cut your hair.
Girl, I've become a Pilates girl. I've cut my hair. I've done all the things, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's just a way of really expressing to other women, like, you can show up as yourself. You're allowed to change, and how you show up in a room and precisely perception is everything, right? So before somebody even speaks to you, they look at you, and so what you put forward almost speaks before you open your mouth.
You know what, you've been able to, and I told you right before we began this conversation that you interact with artists like Tyler, doing their first U.S. interview.
I had Tyler's first interview in the U.S. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, she just,
well, I mean, even before that, like, I played her music at the BAL like 3 years before she
even,
Yeah.
And, Tyler, we have Rema. And one of the pictures we're showcasing on air is Thames. So you're out here with this, Stephen Curry and the like we can't even, I'll be out of fingers if I have to start. But at the end of the day, your interaction is very casual and very natural.
Yeah.
How did you get to a point to know, okay, I'm here?
Yeah.
Because it's something you need to cultivate. I don't believe being in touch with power is just a casual thing, but you make it feel very normal. How do you decide that, okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to push Afrobeats? Or to introduce the world to ABCD? Even if it's there, but now intentionally.
Yeah. To your point, intentionality is very key. A lot of the things that I've done, I wouldn't say they were calculated, but they were to serve a need. They were to fulfill a gap. They were to speak to people, right? I think you have to just know that you belong, right? And at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I do have my moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so-and-so. However, at the end of the day, we're all humans. And I think that's what I try my best to serve, is the fact that we're all humans and we have human experiences. And so you try to connect with people exactly where they are. So whether it was, Tyler and welcoming her to the States and knowing a lot more about her than the typical person. And same thing with all the other artists that I've featured on my show, Afroverse 54, whether, I grew up in the sports space, so just knowing that these people also ultimately just want to be seen as human beings who go to work. It's just that when they go to work, a lot of people know them, you know what I'm saying? It's visible. So I just think that, look, at the end of the day, like, speak to the human in everyone, and you'll probably get the best out of them.
I hear you. And with that, I want to yap, but we need to take a short break.
Yes, we got to pay bills.
I know. We'll be back with this, conversation in a bit. Stay with us. I love Merry Christmas, happy holidays, Reds fans. We're so happy to celebrate this holiday with you. I am outside right here, outside section 113 at the interactive photo installation in the North Lobby. So listen, if you're gonna take a picture, it happen, right? Precisely. That's why I want you to come and take a photo and join our journey to NBA All-Star. Remember, go. I do what's up. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, everybody. Okay, so it's not every day that you get to rap a horse Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. If you're just joining us right now, we're having a conversation with Ivy Winfrey. She is the first female in-host arena of the Dallas Mavericks, and she's right here in studio, and it's been such a lovely conversation so far. And I just want to remind you of a question of the day we had asked you earlier. Let me take that now. What do you believe, rather, can be done to create more awareness on the sport of basketball in Kenya? What do you believe can be done to create more awareness on the sport of basketball in Kenya? Now, I mentioned to you that we have a couple of your responses for that matter, and I just want to read what you have to say. My director is putting them right there on screen. We have here Luther the King, who says, put more money on it and allow me wacheze kama wao. Okay, unataka kucheza Luther? Vino nimekuelewa. Emma says, start it in major universities and always bring them to Uganda for some competition. It looks great. Okay, I get you, but yeah. Thank you so much for that, Emma. Babuson Tito says, reduce ethnicity in the national team. All right, noted. We have Kevo here who says, we add at least a few basketball courts. Fair. Thank you, Kevo. Navin Lessing says, reduce corruption in sports. Okay, thank you so much for that. Bonnie Cage says, be more of us and stop trying to copy the West. Fair. Thank you. Well, there you go. Those are a couple of your responses. We appreciate you interacting with us now. We have a clip of Ivy in action. You know, at the, is it All-Stars? Road to the All-Stars.
Yeah, it's at a Mavericks game campaigning for All-Stars that are happening. That just happened last night, actually. So
just last night?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the clip.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Mavs fans. We're so happy to celebrate this holiday with you. I am outside right here, outside section 113 at the interactive photo installation in the North Lobby. So listen, if you're gonna take a picture, it didn't happen, right? Precisely. That's why I want you to come and take a photo and join our journey to NBA All-Stars. Remember, voting is from now up until January 20th, 2025. And how do you do it? You go to www.mavs.com/all-star or download the Mavs app and you can vote on it. And guess what? Today is a triple vote day, so your one vote counts 3 times, like 1, 2, 3. How cool is that? Make sure you come up. We're outside right here. Section 113 is the last day of the sports to be up here. Scan the QR code. Vote. Your vote counts 3 times. Hang out with Santa and have a Merry Christmas.
Well, there she is in action, Ivy. There you are. Oh, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you're telling me you're feeling a bit cringe watching yourself?
Yeah, I was gonna say my daughter would call that. She's like, "Ooh, mommy, that's cringe." No, I mean, you know how it is when you watch yourself talk, and it's like,
to be fair.
is that how I sound? Like.
But you have to perform and you're in front of people,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But you are making a point. I believe you are speaking about, you know, that moment where you're introducing the intentionality, for that matter, because we're seeing you with these stars, but we don't understand the pressure. I always try to look behind the veil. You know, it's not just that she is talking to Stephen Curry. She is talking to Tyler. She is talking to, like, there's a way you also have to have, people have to respect what you're doing to want to talk to you.
Yeah, you have to be an authority, right? You have to be an authority. And so I think my intentionality has been, what am I an authority in? And I feel like through, you know, virtue, but also like I've worked really hard to be intentional about being authentic in whichever space I've showed up. But that has also led to my niche, so to speak. And I very much have established myself, I would like to think I've established myself as an authority in the intersectionality of sports and culture, specifically as it pertains to Africa and the African diaspora.
Right.
So when people know what you care about and they care about the same thing, it makes it really easy because you don't have to really force issues, right? When, you know, I think the uncomfortability sometimes comes when you just have like nothing in common and it's an obligation, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like to operate in spaces of obligation. It's more so intention.
I see.
Yeah.
Now let's take it back home. Let's come back, you know, here. Because many people would wonder or feel that what you've done isn't reachable, that they may not be. Trust me, I don't think it's obvious that, you know, you began at a young age, being in an arena at, is it 12 or 13?
12, yeah.
Sweeping floors,
Yeah.
and then given an opportunity to basically just test the waters, you know, and you became this DJ, and now you're, look at you, you know. But someone else who'd want to do this, especially young women, young people, how can they practically start something like what you have done right here, you know, at home?
I mean, I love that you brought that up, because quite frankly speaking, first of all, if you're watching, there's no difference between you and I, right? There really isn't. And that's why it's so important for me to spend as much time as I can here and be accessible, you know, to some extent. And I think that you can't be that which you can't see. Hence why I also try my best to be as transparent as I can with my journey and my story. Because I had no roadmap, right? I had an inkling of what I wanted to do, but I just felt my way through. Yeah. And it's the same advice I would give the next person is, where there's no road, create it. Where there's no opportunity, create it. I haven't ever had a job and or a role that existed prior to me creating it, right? But that takes a level of vision. It takes tenacity. You have to plow your way through a whole bunch of no's. In my mind, those are not yet, not now, and anything else in between. And you just have to, you know, I once got some really great advice in that just make the next best right decision, right? Don't worry about what's to come 10 steps from now. Worry about getting from point A to point A.5, then A.5 to B, not even A to B sometimes, right? And so like with me and what I see here is, you know, what I hope that will come as the sporting sector is more developed and invested in, is that, you know, for example, I was at a game at Nyayo not too long ago, and I was pleasantly surprised. Like, they had a DJ, but then I'm like, you need some on-court entertainment, right? I met a dance troupe at the gender conference that I was here to speak at for NOC, and I planted that seed in their head, and I'm like, look, you guys add value. And that's the mindset you have to adopt, is how can I add value to a system that already exists? How do I make this more fun, better, quicker, stronger, whatever? Yeah. Just add value. Yeah.
I see. You know, one of the dope things is that, like you said, there's a practicality to who you are, because you've let yourself be accessible. But when do you know when to shift? Because you knew when, okay, listen, I need to put this DJ, like I can DJ when I want.
But for the right bags, I will.
For the right bags.
Let that be known.
For the right bags.
Yes.
Yeah. When did you know that shift? Okay, it's time for Ivy Winfrey.
Yeah.
You know, it's very boss.
Yeah. It's called maturity. It's called growing up. It's what I like to call my evolution. It's all about knowing your boundaries and knowing your value. Those two things come hand in hand. And knowing that your resources are finite, i.e. time specifically. And just a lot of forward thinking in terms of impact and legacy and what you really want to be known for. And also, I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's about being true to you. And sometimes that looks like a complete and total shift. But you see, the thing in society is we like the same. We like continuity. We like familiarity. We like to know what's coming. And I think one of the things that's been the hardest about this process is having to really like reinforce my repositioning. Because again, people love boxes and labels and neat things, and the moment they can't figure you out, they hate on you, they question you, they dissect you. But that's okay. It's also accepting that comes with the territory.
Okay, then.
You know?
Just hold on to that. We're taking a short break. We'll be back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. I have quite the hilarious director. Now that mentioned, my guest in studio, of course, is Ivy Winfrey. She's a phenomenal woman. She has done so much for sports, both here at home and in the U.S. And she is the in-host arena first female, for that matter. And this is her 9th season as an in-host arena for the Dallas Mavericks. You know, so she's here. You know, in case you're finding out like me, but you're keeping it together. She is right here. Ivy, I want to look at the perspective of the key thing that made you know the shift. Because for some people, they can just shift because, you know, they feel it's an arrogant thing almost. When you've done something as big as you have, the shift is like, I just feel like, you know, but sincerely, honestly, having a shift that is as deep as what you are doing right now, what is that thing that you really, really felt?
Look, I'll be real. If you feel like switching just because, that's your prerogative. Hey, own it. You know what I'm saying? You don't need just like on my way, right? But for me, it was deeply personal. And I probably this is like the first time I'm probably publicly admitting this. But you know, DJing just became not as, it didn't fulfill me as it once did, and it didn't bring as much joy as it once did, and it started to feel like a chore, like I was actually going to work, you know. And that's the moment where I was like, yeah, no, can't do this, because I don't want to lose that love either. So the moment you feel like you're falling deeply out of love with someone and or something,
like, this matters,
because you know it matters, right? It's applicable on both sides in real life, you know. It's time to reassess. And once you make that reassessment, you know, make your game plan and go for it. But I wanted, and I always knew I wanted to do more. I always knew that I would head in a different direction. I just didn't know which one, and I didn't fully understand why God led me through this winding road to get to where I was going to go. But ultimately, I think at the core of DJing is understanding people. And so my transferable skill from that wasn't the actual, like, literal skill. It was just being able to deeply analyze. That's a skill. That's a skill. And when we're looking at the whole encompassment of now what you have decided to get into, which is now the culture bit of it, you know, that's also a deep understanding of where the world is moving to, what the world needs, what your placement in it at this particular moment looks like. Because I think it's very important that we look at the financial bit as much as we do the powerful bit. Sometimes we want great things, but the order of, you know, the discipline, you know, the connection, the network, it's a lot of work. And that's why they say what talent is what percent. Listen, plus 99% sweat equity work, all the things, you know what I mean? But to your point, yes, I think that, you know, I've always enjoyed being in and amongst people, so naturally moving into the media personality, storytelling. And I like to say it's storytelling. It's less about me, it's about my audience and my, you know, conversation piece. But I love talking, as you can tell. I'm like, if I can just get paid to talk for a living, you're amazing at it. So this is, I know this is like, we might have to have like a little spinoff. I love this, but
let's do it.
I'm just publicly manifesting that, right?
And you're good at manifesting things. I've seen that.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, ultimately there's that, but then there's also lending my knowledge, right? I think for a long time I suffered because I felt like as a creative, people felt like I didn't belong in a boardroom or I didn't belong in decision-making spaces because I have this non-traditional background. But I'm like, actually what you need in a lot of these boardrooms, and I'm speaking to a lot of stakeholders, a lot of companies, a lot of brands, is a person who doesn't think like the other 100 people in your organization, right? That's typically the person who can crack the code. And so I think I'm advocating for myself as that because I've just had enough of it. And those like me, you know, we're the ones who are actually on ground, you know, in the field. So those insights transfer very differently than the people who are behind a desk and looking at data and reports and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, numbers don't lie, but there is a space for feeling. Okay,
I want to take a look at defining moments, both presently, no matter how big or small, and while you're doing the DJ actively.
Yeah.
Do you have such moments?
Yeah, certainly. Gosh, I've had, I think, oh God, there've been so many. Being at the Olympics this year was great, just to see, again, the seismic shift in energy that sport can bring. My daughter's a soccer player, football. Woo! Football. And so, you know, taking her to go see the U.S. women's national team win their first gold medal in however many years, and hearing her say, like, oh my gosh, that can be me. But also planting the seed that, you know, the U17 team, the Remmy Majala, like, you know, we're the first to represent us, like, you know, on that level, and creating that narrative for her in her head. Gosh, there've been so many. I've met amazing people, but you know what always gets to me? It's not the things that people think. It's not the celebrity. It's not, I mean, I've made a whole meme. Like, I don't know if you've seen that Cardi B meme where she's sitting in a chair eating popcorn.
Yeah.
That was her responding to me playing music.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a whole entire.
that was me at All-Star. That was my very first All-Star game in LA.
Why did I not?
Because she had just put out a song, and when she was hearing her song, that was her reaction. So that was actually me. Like, I literally created a meme.
That's a viral meme.
A viral meme, a legacy meme, right?
Okay, this is Ivy Winfrey, also maker of viral memes. Cardi B, we're talking about right now.
Yes, but beyond that, it's the small things, right? It's the small messages and the DMs I get from families and parents at games. Like, look, my little girl seeing, you know, a dark-skinned, you know, woman on the mic and doing her thing, and you showing up as me really makes them see themselves, and I hold space for those who look like me. So beyond it all, those are the moments that matter to me the most.
But I'm sure people would want to know, how have you done this for 9 years consecutively? You know, let's be real, Ivy. The people who are very catty, girls can be very catty, women for that matter, and some will be like, I can do it better than Ivy.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole lot that's been happening from year 1 to year 9.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can still do it and still retain a title, I don't think it's not intentional.
No, I mean, I've always said I welcome anybody to try to be a better version of me than me. It's not happening.
Clearly, it's not been happening.
And that's not cockiness. It's me living in my full confidence, and it's taken me 9+ years to get here, right? So, I mean, look, we all live in a world where at any point in time, especially in entertainment, you know how it goes. Like, you're replaceable, like that. But I've worked really hard to be indispensable by just being me. You can't pay for that.
No, you can't. So what keeps you grounded? What are the kind of, let me say, women who you admire, who you know, pick a few things from and say, okay, this is the kind of trajectory I'd like?
Ooh, to your point, it's a blend of a lot of things. You know, they always say well-behaved women rarely make history.
Okay. I'm sorry, we have to keep doing this. I
see it. I was going to say, I was like, should we do this now? We'll come back after the break.
Yeah, there you go. She said it. We're going on a break. We'll be back. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now we're back with Ivy Winfrey. Ivy, we've come towards the end of the conversation, but you're elaborating something right before the break. You can continue.
Just I don't know if I can say this on air, but the women who are like just bad at what they do. Those are my favorite.
I see, generally in that capsule.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah.
So tell us your plans. What are you going to be doing here? What you hope to achieve and the like?
Yeah. I mean, obviously here, I was here to speak at Knox Gender Conference, which is great. Here I've been meeting with key stakeholders, both private and public sector, searching for opportunities, not only to, for myself, but to contribute towards the growing sports and entertainment ecosystem. But beyond that, I always say, to whom much is given, a lot is required. And so really happy tomorrow and Wednesday to be going out alongside some partners to give away over 5,000 athletic kits that were donated by my alma mater, my high school, the hockey school in Dallas. So I think it's just a very small way to plant that seed in young children's heads that, hey, somebody cares about you. Also tell my story. And again, hopefully they can see themselves in me. Encourage participation of the development of the youth sports pipeline. And
Amazing. That's really dope. And also, what have you seen in your reception TV? Because like I said, you're historical. Like you're we're not even going to compare. Look at it in movies. You're in sports.
Oh, that's my girl. Hold on, that's the queen.
Like you're up there. She's made history. You're also making history, and you're among Kenyans who are doing it big. And the fact that you come back home and you're able to share and give back, what does that mean to you?
It's important because I think that, again, you have to be yourself so that others can, be you so other youths can find you. I think it's about creating pride, cultivating community, and knowing that we really are God's chosen people, if you ask me. I just strongly believe it. So it's being able to, be on ground and build that narrative and give hope like our other brother, former President Barack Obama, did for us. Just continuing the work. That's it.
Continuing the path. And again, I would still love it when if you would just encourage young men, women, just who want to do this, but they feel like they can't, or they're not sure. Just give them that confidence. Hey, I am a living example, and I'm still evolving. I'm here. Obviously, reach out to me. I love it. Like, I'm on socials all the time, interacting with people. It's at the Ivy Winfrey, at THEIVYWINFREY. So talk to someone. You'd be so surprised who's there waiting to give you your next boost. And then for everybody else listening, man, just stay in your bags, all 2 of them. You're living your full truth, living your duality, but stay in your bags, get your bags. So. All right, and I'll end the conversation. She showcased her bag, so it represents.
They're on socials. Here's the one I have today. And you know what? Once I have these in the space that they're ready, you're on my list. I have to make sure that we get you. Me and my special friends get you.
They will be sick of me.
Prepare to be.
Prepare to be.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Prepare to be sick of me, because this bag will be like on my hand. I'm like,
she's gonna be like, here I go. I love it. I got you, girl. On record.
She said that, right? So we're going to do this. I know my director is quite jealous, but Dad, I don't think you can carry a bag right now. This is my bag. This is for women. She will design for men.
It might be a men's line soon. I don't know, Dan. Hold your, just hold your breath.
Great. Ivy, thank you so much.
Thank you, sweet girl,
for being here and sharing your story, sharing with us your plans, your evolution. We appreciate it, and we are so proud of you. I told you, you're doing it for the culture.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching Morning Vibe. My name is Remmy Majala. You have been listening to Ivy Winfrey. She is in her 9th season as the in-arena host for the Dallas Mavericks. She's basically made history, and she's evolving. Do you have a great day?